been here for about 6 months. Before that, I was doing consulting, and before that was a customer of MuleSoft, kind of running a C4E there. So run the full gambit, I feel like, as far as my MuleSoft journey goes. Been involved in the meetups for a couple of years, but with the pandemic and everything, we haven't really done much. So we've got a really good jumpstart in here that have helped us get this going again. So thank you both for that. Um, just since I have the agenda slide up here, I'll run through that really quick. After we get through with intros, we'll have David lead us through a MuleSoft Composer deep dive. We'll have some time for questions and answers after his presentation. So as we're going through that, if you have any questions and answers in the chat, there is a Q&A tab. So just put that there so we can make sure and get that answered for you. And then the training and education team has a new learning platform. And so I'll go over that with everyone, and we'll take a demo of what that looks like. We'll then kind of wrap up with some trivia and then discuss future meetup topics. And so with that, I'll hand it over to Victor to give his introduction.
All right, my name is Victor Filipino. I am started here with Derek. This meetup. I mean, picked it up. I guess a couple years ago. We did a couple uh, meetups in person. This is the first one virtual, like Diane mentioned. So again, Diane, thanks for like booting started us again. Kind of get us going again on the meetups. I work for Love's Travel Stop. We are pretty much. I mean, I think we've been with MuleSoft now for the past 2 or 3 years, so we're still early adopting MuleSoft within Love's. And yeah, I mean, just I'm a consumer of MuleSoft, not like these guys over here. I'm learning quite a bit from them, and yeah, glad to be here. Ryan?
Hi, I'm Ryan Haig. I've been doing meetups in Oklahoma City for a long time. I was in the Java users group, president a couple of years and stuff like that. I've also been doing MuleSoft consulting in Oklahoma City for a while. I have a company based in Start Space 46, and just been in the MuleSoft world a long time. So I'm glad to become a part of the Oklahoma City meetup, the MuleSoft meetup. So yeah, this is going to be good to reboot this group and get it moving. I'd also like to introduce David Louie. I saw you give the composer introduction about a week ago, so this is going to be cool for the rest of our community. David's a longtime Salesforce product manager, PM, whatever PM stands for, but now you're the senior director of product management. So would you like to do a better introduction than that?
Sure thing. Hey, everyone, I'm David Louie. I'm, as Ryan's saying, I'm a Senior Director of Product Management for MuleSoft. So in addition to Diane and Derek, I'm a MuleSoft employee. I'm based out of Palo Alto, and one of the things that I own here as a product manager is I just launched this new MuleSoft Composer product. And I'm happy that you guys invited me here to just show it off and tell everybody what this is about.
It's great. We're glad to have you here, David. We're so excited. And it just GA'd last Friday. I thought we got emails that it was, just starting as of yesterday. So we thought, wow, we're really getting hot off the press. But I found out that it was actually Friday. Nonetheless, still extremely excited. And we look forward to your segment there. First, we want to hear a little bit from our sponsors for the Meetup group. And we appreciate your support on what you do. First off, I'm going to introduce Ryan Jacob with Avio. He has been a sales professional for 16 years, has been serving customers as a trusted advisor at Avio for a year. So we're glad to have you with us in our group as well. He's a board member for the Oklahoma Professional Sales Association. So we're going to turn this over to you at this time, Ryan. You should have presenter access. So go ahead and take it from there. There you are, Ryan. Great. Welcome, Ryan.
Thanks, everybody. Yeah, my name is Ryan Jacob with Avio Consulting. I'm here in Oklahoma City as well, so always excited to be a part of, the community and anything to do with Oklahoma. I call myself a Proclahoman just because I'm such about, our economy and what's going on here. So it's great to meet everybody. I'll go over really quickly who Avio Consulting is, and I promise to give you some time back to make sure there's plenty of time to do all the fun meetup stuff as well. So let me pull up my screen. Okay. Can everybody see this okay? Awesome. So some things about Avio is we provide thought leadership and best-in-class delivery at the intersection of modern software development and enterprise integration with the MuleSoft platform. So we're actually what's called a premier MuleSoft partner, and we're also a 2-time partner of the year, in addition to being a portfolio company of Salesforce Ventures. In terms of like our makeup and who's on our team, all of our team is 100% MuleSoft certified. We have a mix of onshore and nearshore hybrid models, so that'll be domestic here in the U.S., Mexico, some South America teams as well, all working with the time zones that align with the U.S. We also have our own internal pool of experts to provide support and brainstorming guide as needed, the ability to scale quickly with increased demand. And then we also have a great mix of MuleSoft community ambassadors, mentors, and meetup leaders as well. In terms of thought leadership, so we have predefined things like best practices, and we've also developed industry-leading tools and accelerators. And so here's a few of those, automated best practice compliance, expanded Mule testing framework, enterprise logging, Azure Security Connector, custom Maven deployer plugin, health check APIs, and all sorts of amazing tools. And then here's kind of an idea of generally how we work with a client with evolution strategy. So we're going to start a lot of times with connecting their current enterprise, sharing data across systems, improving customer and user experience, or including unlocking legacy data, eventually getting that to a situation where evolving IT through aligning better with business, improving code quality, enabling accelerated release cycles, and harnessing API-led connectivity, and then overall just elevating the business, improving responsiveness, enabling innovation, and extending the reach and impact beyond the existing 4 walls. And then this is how we accomplish that with just some of our core offerings, whether it's some MuleSoft called Catalyst, which is our accelerated success or implementation, Expert on Demand, which is a great service for people who need exactly that, someone available to them, maybe part of the month, part-time, to make sure that they have access to an expert if they do need support. And then something else that we've done a lot is a health check where we'll go in, see where they're at existing with MuleSoft, teach them best practices, and getting moved forward to be as efficient as possible. And that's it.
Great. Thank you so much. We appreciate you, Ryan. Glad that you're here. And I am going to switch gears from introducing one Ryan to another Ryan. Also, I'd like to introduce to you Ryan Haig. He already did an intro, so you know a little bit about him as well. But he is with Haig Software, our other sponsor. So, Ryan, would you share a little bit about Haig Software?
Well, I'd like to correct something David said a little while ago. Diane works for me, not for MuleSoft.
They're trying to take me. They're trying to take me.
Deserved, I'm sure. I started Haig Software about 5 years ago in Oklahoma City. No slides. I'm a meetup leader, so I don't want to do too much of the I get a lot of floor time, so rather give Ryan and David more of the time here. But yeah, if you want to talk about how to do MuleSoft right, come talk to me. Let's go ahead and move on to the feature attraction.
Sounds great. One thing before we do, let me interject this real quickly, if you don't mind. For those of you, we are going to communicate like Derek had said by way of chat, and as well as the Q&A category. So please go ahead and post something in the chat so I know that you found it. Let us know where you're from. So with your name, check in from where you're located. Say hello, I am from wherever. That's the first. And then there you go. Ryan setting the pace there. And then again, we have the Q&A area too. If you'd like to, post a question there, we're going to be monitoring that so that we can convey those questions during when there's a good break in the presentation. So we don't want to interrupt the presentation per se, but we want to be sure that your questions are answered. Okay, great. Thank you all so much. Back to you, Ryan. And I think you're passing it over to David at that point,
yeah,
right?
Back to me to pass it to David. I'd like to see about let's get on to Composer.
Absolutely.
Sounds good. So if Diane or Derek, if you want to give me control, I can run this off of my screen too. Thank you.
There you go.
Thanks everyone. So I'm going to be. So today I'll probably be discussing some forward-looking things as well. So if you're making any purchasing decisions of MuleSoft, just make them based on currently available product. So without further ado, I want to talk a little bit about this new product that we just released last Friday, which is MuleSoft Composer. And so one may be asking to take a step back from the perspective of MuleSoft overall at the high level strategy. What is MuleSoft doing around your offerings? What is your 5-year vision of where you want to head? Well, we've invested very heavily in the IT persona and kind of like the full gamut of what it would take for API management and integration management. With tools like Composer, with our acquisition of companies like ServiceTrace, we're starting to expand. We're trying to expand beyond that level of IT expertise to really unlock business users to also be building out integrations and automations. That way, together combined, MuleSoft has this complete solution to meet the integration automation needs of everyone, involving all kinds of personas within your business in order to help you achieve that goal. And so the backdrop of why we invented Composer, why we built Composer. So what we've seen is that business teams have a strong demand for integration and automations across all kinds of different business functions. And what we've noticed is that, as the demands increase, if we were constrained with just IT being able to build integrations, you have that band of IT delivery capacity. What we're trying to do with Composer is that we're trying to allow different companies to leverage the business teams to expand on the level of capacity of who can build out integrations, so that you can start touching and building out and improving the range of integrations that you can build out. And that's kind of the whole premise behind MuleSoft Composer. I'll come back to this slide, but in general, what we see is that we have Anypoint. Anypoint is well established. Anypoint is for IT, and it solves a bunch of different needs. MuleSoft Composer, along with Anypoint, once you bring them together, will be able to meet that comprehensive solution in regards to both API and integration. So most importantly, MuleSoft Composer is a drag and drop tool, like all configuration, no code. And so what MuleSoft Composer is especially in the first iteration, it's designed for business users. It's a product that's independent of Anypoint and can be run completely separately, and it's super easy to use. And so for what we have for MuleSoft Composer right now, business users use a set of our out-of-the-box connectors. And the out-of-the-box connectors that we have are going to be a subset of the overall connectors that are offered by Anypoint. So without further ado, I just kind of want to show you the product. And so here you're looking at the live GA of what's available now with MuleSoft Composer. And so as you notice straight away, let me increase the font size a little bit. But if you notice straight away, this looks really different from Anypoint. This is not Anypoint. And so we did that very intentionally because we wanted business users to have a distinct kind of very easy to use experience when they're using this particular MuleSoft product. And so the nav is different, the login is different. And so from here, I'm just going to show you like how to go about creating one of these Composer flows. And so creating a Composer flow / one of our integrations is easy enough that I could just do this in minutes. And so what I'll be doing is I'm going to create a Composer flow that does a couple things. It's going to kick off based on an update to a Google Sheet. Then it's going to create a lead record in Salesforce and then post to Slack. And so I very intentionally did like this 3-legged integration, and it kind of borders on automation as well, because it's this thing that's a high level integration that a business user might perform. So let me just go ahead and start building this out. And so I can say, when a new row in this particular spreadsheet is created, let me go ahead and so now this particular Google Sheet will trigger the workflow. As the next step, I want to go ahead and create a new record in Salesforce. And so for users that are familiar with Anypoint, like this is pretty intuitive, and it's pretty different than what we do in Anypoint. And so right now what's happening is that for Salesforce, for the particular object I created, we looked at the metadata for a lead, and we went to the system and we noticed that, yes, a company and a last name are 2 required fields of this lead. So let's just go ahead and show the user that those are required fields. And so we want to make, creation of this flow as easy as possible. So here's the first name as well to round this out a little bit. And so what I'm doing here is into the Salesforce step, into the Salesforce lead, I'm mapping over fields from the Google Sheet. Next step I want to do is just quickly post to Slack. And so I am going to post a message to a Slack channel. Let's post this over to the Hot Deals channel. We support markup, Slack's markup, so this is just going to bold. And let's put a reference into what I want this particular user to look at. So I want you to look at this particular lead. And just like that, I'm going to save this flow, lead notification. And what's nice is that we have these live testing capabilities. And so you don't have to navigate away in order to try to test out or evaluate this flow or whether you like it. From right here, I'm going to throw this in test mode. Since you guys are MuleSoft experts, I'll clue you in on some of the architecture of what's going on right here. And so our composer flows are a different level of abstraction on top of a Mule app. And so under the covers, what's happening is that when I create a composer flow, it compiles down into a Mule app. When I hit test, what's happening is that it's deploying this particular composer flow to a special flavor of Cloud Hub that we have running, specific to composer. And so now that this composer flow / Mule app has been deployed, it's waiting for the trigger. And so I'm going to go ahead over to this particular spreadsheet and create a new row in order to trigger that flow. Simplest thing to do is I'm just going to copy and paste an existing record. So now here on the composer side, it's going to go ahead and poll the system every once in a while for an update to a Google Sheet. And once that item has been picked up, it picked up, chimed in my ear. Just give it a second and it'll reflect here. But so the composer flow quickly picked up that Google Sheet record. Here is a representation of what was in that record. Then it confirmed here that it did go ahead and create that particular record in Salesforce. And so I get confirmation of the record ID, and it confirmed that it posted to Slack. And so if I wanted to go to these end systems to check that out, I can see here was the lead that got created, Sam Waters. And here is the Slack message that got posted just now. Oh, wrong one. Hot Deals. Got posted right here. And so just like that, like as a business user, there was no code involved. The mapping was quite simple. And so just like that, I went ahead and created a flow from scratch and tested it out. Once I'm happy with this thing, I can go ahead and activate it. And there are no steps to complete, because with Composer, the way people buy Composer is that Composer's licensed based on usage. And so it's a little different than the other Salesforce products. But when I go ahead and activate that, there's no vCores to configure, nothing to set up. We're going to go ahead and take this composer flow and deploy it to our flavor of Cloud Hub, and it's completely managed. And so the user doesn't have to worry about it at all. And so just like that, I was able to go ahead and create this flow using these connectors. And to give you a little bit more insight back into the connectors, so when you're building out composer flows, you have access to a whole suite of the connectors that we've built out. And every month we continue to add to the library and continue to build out additional connectors for our system. So that's kind of what I wanted to show you for the demo. Let's see what else I wanted to cover in the
So David, before we move on here, there's a couple questions popping up over here.
Excellent. Now's a good time.
Right. The first one is from John Ellison. He's asking, what's the difference between this and Flow Designer? He said, seems like functionality overlap, no code UI for people to set up APIs.
Yeah, a couple differences. So with Flow Designer, what Flow Designer ended up turning into The intention was to target it towards business users, but what it kind of turned into with every feature we added, it kind of turned into a little bit more of a cloud IDE that's like kind of a, a, a down feature version of Studio. And so because we use the same abstractions as Studio, what we found is that business users themselves, when they try to use Flow Designer, they still have to learn data weave, and they're like, I don't know what data weave is. And so they still have to use some of the abstractions that the anypoint connectors were exposing. And so we took some lessons learned with Flow Designer, and we built this product, which, yeah, I would say there is some overset. We targeted the same persona, but we executed it in a very different way. And so we learned our lesson there, and the levels of abstraction here are much simpler for users.
So is Flow Designer going away?
It's still going to be a valid part of the MuleSoft portfolio, but what you'll see is that our future investments are going to be in MuleSoft Composer for the business user. And if you stay tuned and you listen in on things like Transform coming up in December, we're going to start to, I think we've probably also publicly announced that we're starting in on development of a cloud-based IDE as well.
Gotcha. So this next question is one that I saw that I kind of wanted to ask also. Whenever you go back to the connectors there, are we able to build our own connectors, our custom connectors?
We're trying to head down that path in allowing folks to build their own Composer custom connectors. But for right now, it's you'll be using the connectors that we supply out of the box.
Okay. Do you know the roadmap when or?
It's going to be a little while because there's some work that we do in the engineering side to take one of the anypoint connectors and make it appropriate to be surfaced in Composer. Because if you look kind of closely, like Composer has a certain abstraction model where we're exposing an action, a type.
That reminds
We
me a
got
lot of
this.
Salesforce
Yeah.
flows.
Yeah. So we expose a certain action, we expose a certain type. There's a certain way that we like to grab this data live. And so there's some specifics of this where right now we haven't quite yet abstracted that out to an SDK that can be exposed to for a partner to build out their own connectors.
Okay.
So can I follow up on that?
Yeah.
So the type of connectors, it would be very helpful to have our own REML APIs show up in here. Is that earlier or later in the roadmap?
Earlier. The another thing you'll see in Transform is that while we won't be allowing you building an SDK to allow you to create your own connector, we do have two things in the works to allow you to bring your API into Composer.
Okay.
And so on the shorter term roadmap, we have an HTTP connector. Every integration platform has one. And so we're going to have our own flavor of an HTTP connector so that you can connect to any REST API, given that it's exposed to the public internet. There's another feature that you're going to start to see where I want to build out a tighter integration with Anypoint. So from within Anypoint, from within Exchange, you'll be able to navigate to a REST API, click a couple buttons, and that API would magically appear there. So some of those things I think are actually going to subsume the need to like build out a specific Composer connector if we have that kind of ability to do API sharing into these Composer users.
Nice. Do you know if there's a roadmap, or do you guys have a list of the next connectors that you are creating? Is there a roadmap for those?
So HTTP connectors coming
Oh,
out.
sorry,
We're working on some.
I'm jumping out on your slides. I'm sorry.
You know what? It's fine. I like being led. I like being led through my slides. And so I mentioned the HTTP connectors coming soon. We're working on Workday Finance and Google Sheets. We're always reevaluating too the list of connectors that go after this based on customer feedback.
One more question here. Can we use the Composer as a ETL tool?
I would say this tool right now, even you can tell even from the UI, this tool is designed more for single records than it is for like big batches of things. So I would say if you're doing heavy duty ETL, you'll probably be happier with either full anypoint or some other kind of ETL tool.
Right. Okay, you guys are helping me here. Did I miss any questions over here?
There were 3 new questions.
There
Okay,
are
well,
some more. Yeah.
Oh, I
Good.
saw
But
that.
keep the questions coming too, people.
I see Composer has a Microsoft Teams connector. Is that also available in MuleSoft?
This one I can double check for you. I would have thought I'm not sure. Yeah.
Okay. Next question. Do we need to buy Composer as a separate license, or is that
Yeah.
would that come with Anypoint platform?
Yeah, Composer's gonna be or is licensed separately, and there's 2 tiers of Composer based on how much usage you think you're gonna need for Composer.
Okay. And next question here is there a trail version of Composer?
Trial, yeah. So if you're interested in evaluating Composer, pick up the phone and give your AE a call, and they can chat with you about some of the options that are available to you.
Alrighty.
And how similar is this, David, to the MuleSoft Composer in Salesforce? Because I know that debuted a couple months ago. I'm a little familiar with that. How does this compare? They the same?
It's the same, except that the Chrome that you're using will just be a little bit different. Composer for Salesforce requires you to have a license to sales, like a full-fledged user license into Salesforce. And going one step further, you have to be a Salesforce Lightning customer. And so what we just did here with this flavor of MuleSoft Composer is we broke that dependency to require a Salesforce license.
One question here from Shane. Will Composer be able to connect to APIs in Cloud Hub on a VPC?
That's on the roadmap. After we support that story I was telling, after we support the ability to connect to APIs that are in public internet, the next feature that I need to build out is a bridge to allow for stuff that's behind VPC.
Okay. When we are connecting to different systems in Composer, where we need to configure the credentials of another system. I don't.
I had a similar question when you went through it. You were already logged into Salesforce and Slack, so that must be in here.
Yeah, and so if I pre-prep some of this stuff, but if I have to go to create a new connection, largely speaking, most of these connectors use OAuth. And so if I needed to go ahead and add a new connection for Salesforce, we use OAuth. And so you as dear user would go ahead, log in using either your username or some username that you wanted the API request to go through. So a lot of our customers use service accounts for this. Most of our connectors are through OAuth. Some of them, I'll show you the NetSuite one. Some of them are just token based, and so it depends on the system. And so in the case of NetSuite, when they're setting this thing up, NetSuite didn't have OAuth, or we didn't use their OAuth. And so you, dear user setting it up, would want to know the token and secret in order to access NetSuite. I would say most of these are OAuth.
Okay. So if I have 2 components in here, like 2 NetSuites, is that 2 login attempts, or is it in the background? Is it saving that token or whatever and reusing it?
A little bit of both. So here, like if you had two NetSuite or organizations that you're trying to connect to, you could log them here. And then what you would do is that when you're going ahead and creating a new step, we'll give you the option of which one you'd want to connect to. People use that for the Salesforce one all the time. In a bunch of my other demo environments, I got like 5 Salesforce environments stacked up here.
David, I had a question for you. Where do we see central IT's role in this, as far as business users are going to be out creating their flows? Maybe something blows up, goes wrong, they needs help. Where are we seeing the interaction going to be there?
That is the slide that I skipped over that I can cover now.
Thank you.
That was this slide, where we do see our vision is for IT and the business to collaborate in order to build out that suite of integrations. And so the way I see IT being involved, firstly, IT could/would control which users have access to Composer. IT would control like which systems do we want to give the business users access to? And there's multiple ways that I see IT controlling data access. One, like let's take that NetSuite example for a minute. If IT wanted to control what access the business has, on the one hand, if they didn't want them to connect to NetSuite, just don't give the business users the credentials to log to connect to NetSuite. If you do want to let them connect to NetSuite, when you're granting permissions, make sure that the permissions that were granted are restrictive enough to only the things that they needed to do on the story of API access. And so in my story of how IT would share out APIs to the business, there's definitely going to be an access control mechanism there where IT can say, hey, for this API, only this set of business users should be able to see them. So one big point of leverage and control for IT is in data access. But now, once IT provides the business access to the data, that's when the business can be very much empowered to build all the integrations that they needed to build. And so once they built out those integrations, if IT wanted another checkpoint for controls, we see a scenario where we want to put in an approval process. And so it could be required, it could be optional, a little bit of blend of both. But I see a scenario where all or some of the composer flows, once a business user is done building them, it sends them to IT to look them over, approve them. Once IT goes ahead and approves them, both participants, both constituents can go ahead and monitor those flows to see how they're performing.
Bring into a second line of the next question here of like how the deployment, the pipelines, like we're all used to MuleSoft, right? You have your pipelines and all that. How is that handled within Composer?
Here, like it's pretty simple for in this flavor. The way the deployment process would work is that you, dear business user, would go ahead and develop your flow against development or sandbox environments. And then once you're happy with this thing, you would go ahead and change the connections over from a sandbox into production before going ahead and deploying it.
Can I follow up on that? I have some customers and ex-clients. They would love this tool without that. They would love to just go right at production with this. Is that a okay use case, or are we frowning upon that? What do you?
That is an okay use case, especially when the master data systems are being used for read purposes and not write purposes.
From Shane, he says that this means is the end of MuleSoft developers.
No, like this means MuleSoft developers will have even a bigger business because there's going to be a need for the MuleSoft developers to create the APIs that are going to be consumed by this business users. So it's back to my point of leverage.
Right. Next question here: how can we handle errors in the Composer?
Yeah, so when you hit test, if there were errors, they'll surface to you up here they'll surface to you right up here live for you to correct. When you deploy this flow, I don't have this. With this one hasn't had any active executions against it. But once you've deployed the flow, we'll show you here a history of all the times this particular flow was executed, along with success and failure. If it was failure, we'll give you what we can in terms of how to remediate it.
Okay. So are we able to log, like, for example, at Loves, we use Splunk, right? If there's any errors, we log it out to Splunk so we can have graphs and see performance and everything else. Is that a capability in here? Is that something in the roadmap or?
Not yet, roadmap though.
Okay. More on the access that you can give the business here. Is that going to, let's say I'm getting spreadsheets and import them into Salesforce, right? Is that within the composer that I need to control different things, or is it within Salesforce that I'm going to say, hey, because you're importing these leads, don't touch these other leads? Is it where does that control live in? Can you expand on that a little bit more?
Yeah, here I would do in Composer itself. There's not much we do around access control. Those types of policies I would enforce in the system itself. Like
Okay.
in that case, it would have been Salesforce.
Gotcha. Another question just came in. Is there any possibility to trigger the alerts when an error occurs?
Not yet. Yeah, that's something we're working on here, to have basically like a try-catch block that you can put around these things.
Cool.
There's no questions in the Q&A, so I'm going to throw one in. I'm imagining scaling this out. I'm a part of a C4E that's 2 levels deep. So there's a C4E in the middle, and then there will be a bunch of agencies underneath it. If I wanted to like have them share flows with each other, is that a thing?
Not yet. Right now, the only flows you can see are the ones that you built, but I do recognize that it's kind of an MVP requirement to be able to, have an admin see all the flows and then be able to do, I would say, user-based sharing is what we're aiming for first.
Another question just came in. How does this compare to Azure Logic Apps?
Sorry, that one I'm not familiar with
familiar
that one.
with?
Yeah. Cool. I want to short circuit some of these slides. Let me see if there were any other slides I wanted to cover. That way I can give you guys some time back to do more of the agenda. So I can also share some of these slides. I would say vision of where we're trying to go. And so with MuleSoft Composer, Safe Harbor, of course, the next release is we want to support external identity providers. So if you're using like Okta or LDAP, you can go ahead and connect that to have users authenticate using SSO. Following that, we will have the API sharing that I was mentioning. So from any point, go ahead and share an API out to Composer. In order to do that, one of the things that we have to do before that is allow the linking of these Composer orgs with an anypoint org. And so what I've been trying to weave in here is that when you're using Composer, it's a separate org, separate username, separate licensing from anypoint. And so we need to provide that ability to link them up so that you can do sharing. That's kind of what I had.
Harbor mean?
Back to that first slide that it showed. It just means, hey, for MuleSoft, like anything that we say about roadmap is not a commitment. And so yeah, when I mention things like that, if you're buying anything right now, like buy based on what's available.
We did have one more question come in about logging. Can we do logging in Composer? And that may have been answered in what Victor had asked regarding Splunk, but just so that we can kind of cover that.
Yeah, not quite yet, but I understand the request there, which is, when Composer does something, push it out to Splunk or some other system. We don't quite have that yet.
Very exciting.
Well, thank you so much, David.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, glad to
Thank
have
you
you
very
here.
much.
And next
Let-
up, Derek, you.
I'll start sharing again. Okay, all right. Thanks again, David. So now we're going to talk about the training and education team is deployed with MuleSoft Composer, a new learning library platform. And so if you're familiar with our Friends of Mac series on YouTube or our Lightboard series, all the existing ones are already included in the learning library, but also we're also including mini courses for MuleSoft Composer. So all of those connectors and use cases that David was showing, there's mini courses that you can take there to get more familiar with MuleSoft Composer. A couple key notes here. There are unauthenticated and authenticated content. So for instance, the videos would be unauthenticated, but the MuleSoft Composer content that is not a video, it's more of an actual course that you would take. You have to have a MuleSoft training account and be logged in to access those. But if you've already taken certification exams or instructor-led training or like the fundamentals self-paced, then you probably already have an account you can use. And so this is very much an MVP of this platform. And so we're going to keep adding to it. As you see in the screenshot, there's categories that has the development, architecture. So we're trying to match up our training courses and those learning paths with the content that's on this platform. And then we'll have more mini courses coming out, additional playlists like Composer playlists, any platform playlists, and then continually updating the user experience as we build out the platform. All right, I'm going to go over to the learning platform now, and we'll take a look at what that looks like. And so you can see it's here on our training platform, and I've been in here before, so you can see some recently viewed videos that I have, popular videos, and then like I mentioned, at some point in the future, we'll have the learning paths associated to all the content here. But the products are here, and so each of the videos or content has tags, and so we've tried our best to tag those related. So if we went to MuleSoft Composer, we could see all the content related to MuleSoft Composer. And as well as that, if you click into one of these and you're wanting to watch that video, there's playlist, and then there's MuleSoft Composer videos, and so you could see all the videos in one going. And so it's all of them here. And let's go back. And then let's look at the mini courses. And so you'll see here, right, it prompts you to sign in because these are actual courses, right? But also here you'll see like Open Learning Composer. And so I'll click on that. And then this is an actual Composer Basics course. And so it's got all those videos plus additional mini courses you can take. So let's look at one of those. And so it is, here's what the platform looks like. It's got the agenda, and you can walk through the intro. And, you know, kind of like if you've taken our instructor-led courses or any of the self-paced, it's all a walkthrough model. So it'll give you course and module-based objectives, telling you what you'll be covering in that, and then specific content related to that course. So really cool platform, and then it's got all the information here, and then there's small assessments at the end of this as well, and so quiz based on that. And then once you do that one, you can move on to the next. And so the idea here is to provide a whole course structure where you can get all the information you need about a specific topic, in this case, MuleSoft Composer. And then, yeah, all our Friends of Max videos are here, Lightboard series videos. That's about it, right? So I'll make sure and put this link in chat here so that everybody can go out and take a look at that. Any questions about this platform? Any of our new video, we have a whole team dedicated just to open learning. And so we're going to continually be pumping out information here for the whole community.
Very exciting. Nicely laid out too. Especially those of us that are instructors were like, wow, very nice. And to be expected, it's very structured like the self-paced, even for Fundamental 4s now.
Right.
But with it all located in one area, it looks great.
Yeah, Ryan, answer your question. The authenticated one does not cost money. It's just like just a free MuleSoft training account that you could take any self-paced course or instructor-led course with. So good question.
That's awesome of you guys.
Also too, if you were interested in, if you're Salesforce specific and you want a composer for Salesforce, there's those videos and courses here as well. All right. Any other questions before we move on? Doesn't look like it, right?
Reminder, if you do have questions, put them in the chat or in the Q&A. Nope. Okay, great. Very good. Great. Thank you. Very exciting on the educational side for sure. All right, we're ready to kick off the trivia game. So here we go. Now, a few things to be mindful of. First of all, we have 3 questions, 3 trivia questions, and the first one to post the correct answer in the chat, now not the Q&A, this is only in the chat, will receive a voucher for an instructor-led course and an exam. So it's a heavy value on that. That's sponsored by MuleSoft. So thank you, MuleSoft, for that gift for the meetups. And so we're going to go ahead and very importantly, we'll wait for me to type in trivia question 1. This way we will, because we'll be using the chat as our means of tracking the winners. So trivia question number 1 is in the chat now. So let's go ahead and flip the screen. Question number 1. I know, right? MuleSoft Composer flows are deployed to a managed runtime similar to Cloud Hub. A for true, B for false. A for true, B for false.
I think we have a winner.
And the winner is, David, do you want to go ahead and mention who the winner is based on what you're seeing there? Because you do know the answer to that one.
I'm saying it's true.
It is true. It is true. So that puts our winner, as far as I can see, as Angela Patterson.
Yep, that's what I think too.
All right. Congratulations, Angela. Now, stay with us, and I'll be sure to get your information, your emails, so that we can send you the information regarding
I think we actually decided before that you have to submit a survey, so we have.
Oh, yes, that's true too. That is very true. Yeah, we'll talk about that because there's some MuleSoft swag we're going to give away as well. All right. Now, let me post. Hold on a minute. Question number 2. All right. Next. How many out-of-the-box connectors are included with Composer, with MuleSoft Composer? A, 11. B, 7 connectors and 2 customized connectors. C, 17 connectors. Or D, 6 connectors and 3 customized connectors.
Yay, everyone was paying attention.
And the winner is David. Go ahead.
John.
There you go, John. Excellent job. Very good. I know, it's nice they were paying attention, right? All right. And then the third one is, 1 second. Question 3 is, you can access the MuleSoft Composer content on the Learning Library platform without a MuleSoft training account. True or false? And Derek, we'll let you be the determining factor on this. Let's see. So far, we're getting quite a few. There's question 3 there. Okay. Derek?
Yeah, that's actually false. So the MuleSoft Composer mini courses and content, you have to have an account, just a MuleSoft training account, and I'll stress again that that's free and not cost anything. So
wow, good trick question.
The first false is John, but John won the last one, right? So
correct.
Should we go to the next one?
Yes, that is correct. Because once you've won once, you can't win twice. So,
right, so
sorry, John.
Saddam, right? All right, yeah, we've got
congratulations. Excellent.
Good job, everyone.
Very good. Very good. All right. Now we do have a couple things to announce. First of all, we want to know what you would like to hear. What is next? So we do have some MuleSoft swag to give away, and I'm sure you would love to have that. One of the things is this really nice MuleSoft glass water bottle. Love it. Of course, you'll get several Max Mules as well, and some other swag. There's some other smaller things, pens and pen pads and things like that. So let's go to the next screen, please. And we want you to, there's the Max, the brown Max. Look at that. How cool.
What was the brown Max, Ryan?
I got this at MuleSoft Summit 2012.
Aww. He's a classic.
I think I was 5 years old in 2012, Ryan.
So a couple of things we want you to do is, first of all, share the information. Let people know about this. Of course, this is virtual. We will be doing in person meetups in Oklahoma City. So that will be a little more restricted based on, being in, person. But as long as they're virtual, you're welcome to be a member of the group wherever you are in the globe. And so we'd love to have you. If you'd like to be a speaker, there's a contact the organizer option on the Meetup site, and click that. That emails to all of us. Let us know what you'd like to present on, and we will be glad to consider that and get with you on that. But there's a MuleSoft survey that will be emailed to you after the event, and you want to fill that out. That's where we're going to be doing the drawings for the MuleSoft swag. So be sure to complete the survey. Let us know your thoughts on how the meetup was for you. If it was, educational, some ideas of things that you'd like to share or you'd like us to speak on. And you can even go ahead and post some of those in the chat now. And based on your requests and that type of thing. And in general too, MuleSoft likes to know if we can improve the meetup program in any way. There's the meetups at mulesoft.com email that you can send any suggestions there as well. Anyone else want to add to that?
I have
or
a
if I ever left
question,
anyone-
Diane. I'm not sure when should we expect to have more Oklahoma MuleSoft meetups?
Great question. Well, we all have been discussing the possibility of spring, correct? So if we do one in early spring, that would probably be our next time frame that we're thinking about doing one, unless we do another virtual between now and then. But we're open
Yeah,
for
so not
suggestions.
January, maybe February, maybe March. If you're going to be a speaker, that means you have time to prepare, and we're happy to help you prepare in case you wanted
Right.
to volunteer.
And one thing that I was going to say for people that I've seen on past meetups, it doesn't need to be a very specific topic. Just if you give us an idea of like something that you're struggling, you're trying to figure something out, or something that like there's very poor documentation about, right? You want to see how people around the area is kind of solving those issues or stuff. You send those ideas to us, send those topics to us, because we could put. I mean, we have enough people on our network that understands MuleSoft, and knows everything, and we can put something together to help out on a lot of those different things.
Absolutely. That's what got me started in the meetup program as well. I stepped in for someone who had a family emergency, and I presented on MUnit, and I honestly barely knew it.
We don't talk about M units.
Oh yeah, it's become one of those things that everybody needs. We need to
Right.
validate our code,
Right.
So, but yeah, it's a great program to be a part of. As you know, if you're a speaker, you also get an instructor-led course and an exam. So utilize that. Absolutely, we'd love to have you participate. David, you get an instructor-led course and you also get an exam. So
We have some really cool new, fairly newer courses too. We have an operations course on runtime fabric on your self-managed Kubernetes, which is really cool. And then we have a couple developer level 2 courses, one on development best practices and production ready integrations that are really helpful as you get farther along in your MuleSoft development journey. So
yes, and that exam should be out in spring because that exam is in the making now. So the level, which is the MuleSoft Developer Level 2 exam, so that is on its way. Yeah, exciting things happening. Well, thank you all so much, and it's been wonderful to be a part of, the first virtual. Everyone have a wonderful and safe evening. Again, David, thank you for your presentation. Derek, thank you as well. And thank our sponsors because
Yeah.
you're the ones that make this happen. And remember to be sure to fill out that survey, and we'll be doing the drawing on that. And I'll be emailing out the winners on that.
All right. Good night, everybody.
Great.
Night.
Thank
Thanks
you.
everyone.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.